everybody should have a copy of this thing, which I want to talk about for just a few minutes. Started off back in 2007. I got invited to go to a banking conference in Brussels and talk and present some awards, you know, sort of a bit like the BAFTAs or the Oscars. And I had to give a talk on innovation. And it obviously sank like a stone because I never heard anything about it again, that round of polite applause. Except a year later, they called me up and said, "We hope you're ready for this year's presentation and speech." And I had a problem because I said, "Well, I can't do it." And they said, "Well, we've printed the program," and it shows how long ago it is because they'd actually printed it. And I said, "Well, I still can't do it because I haven't got anything to say because I said it all last year. I've got nothing original." And they said, "Well, you have to think of something." So what I did was I called up a group of friends around the world who actually ran payments companies. And I said, "You guys need to help me out." And we talked sort of in a virtual environment. And I put together a report, which I only did to get me off the hook that I had nothing to talk about in this conference. And it was the views of 12 people around the world who actually ran payments companies and payments divisions of banks and all technology companies. And they gave their views as to what was driving innovation. And hopefully I thought, well, that's it. I've not got to do that one again. And sometime later, I think about 2010, I was in a couple of conferences and I actually saw people quoting from what these guys had come up with a couple of years before. And it was now embarrassing because it was now 2 years out of date. And it was being quoted as, you know, the most interesting view on payments innovation, which was probably a little bit over the top. So I thought, well, I'd better run it again. And so this time I got a few more people around the world. And again, everybody had roughly the same profile. Interestingly, almost everyone had lived in 3 countries. So you talk about the profile of an entrepreneur. And most of these people have lived in 3 countries, speak multiple languages. Nobody's stayed in any one company. Most had had multiple jobs, because they're restless kind of people. And they actually shared their views as to what made innovation successful and how to change the world and how to make money in payments. And actually, I was grateful that time that Accross, who I was associated with, had sponsored that. And then it came to last year, and because by now, innovation, you can't go anywhere, and there's everybody telling you how to innovate in payments. And you know, every analyst is onto it, every journalist is onto it, and there are so many theories about it. So I thought, well, it's time to retire because there's no point in actually trying to redo it. But sat down with the Anthemis guys and the Accross guys, and we should do this again because there's one difference between this and everything that everybody else does, is this is done by people who've actually done it. And if you talk to an investor, if you talk to a VC, you talk to a private equity house, what do? You back the people who've made the money before. So this time I went out and I talked to 25 people around the world. Those 25 people live in 16 different countries. Every one of them is still in the business. Everyone either runs one of the companies that you would like to have invested in or you'd like to have worked for. Believe it or not, some of them work for banks. And that's very, very interesting. And actually, Nadeem, there is somebody in Asia, in South America there. So we've had some people from South America. There's a fantastic amount of innovation going on in South America in the banking world. So we've actually got that kind of coverage as well. And they talked about what in their view is driving the whole world and in terms of innovation. It's very interesting because it's so widely spread, and what we tend to do is get a lot of, in the innovation world, you get a lot of what will work in the US or Europe, and everybody assuming it will work everywhere else, and that isn't true. So we've got this group of 25 people who've given their views, and I'm not going to tell you what's in the report. I'd like you to, if you're interested, take it away and read it, but they're looking at this time, for example, Brett was talking about mobile before, and you know, so what is actually holding mobile back? Why is it still the next best thing? And interestingly, the view of the 25 guys is it's the poor level of user interface and design experience. So that picks up another theme that we heard before. And that's the thing, that's why people haven't picked it up so far, because it's incredibly poorly designed. So that's one of the kind of topic that we've been looking at some of the areas that have been missed out. And we talk about hype. Payments is so obsessed with hype. prepaid is an area that everybody has been and done and forgotten all about because, you know, we've done that. Yeah, everybody's now discovering that if you look at every innovative payments company, generally it's got some prepaid and usually some virtual account or wallet behind it. So actually people are now discovering 10 years on what the real value of things like that are. And that was interesting. You got these 25 guys across the world almost universally picked out the fact that prepaid and virtual account and wallet structures was what's starting to drive the business in terms of getting the platforms right. So really, I'd suggest if you're interested, on behalf of the 25 people who put it together, and I just have the privilege of working with these people and sort of marshalling their thoughts into a coherent document, I'd urge you to read it. It is 25 people who've done it. They do want to remain anonymous because that's the deal. I will actually tell you, just to be slightly provocative, that 4 of them are in the room tonight. And that's the most. I did a presentation in Mumbai last year and there were 3 of them, a different 3. So it's very unusual, and that's a testament to the drawing power of Anthemis that they've actually got 4 of those people here tonight. But they always remain anonymous because people need to be free to give their own views, particularly if you're commenting on, you know, whether your organisation can innovate well or not.